Welcome to the Law Firm Practice Management Advice Podcast.
The fundamentals of business.
Join Kirk Stange of Stange Law Firm as he discusses helpful strategies, tools, and insights to grow and manage a legal practice.
Good ideas are simple.
From improving client relationships to managing your team and scaling your practice, this podcast offers practical advice for navigating the challenges of law firm management.
Shall we proceed?
Now, here's your host, Kirk Stange.
Welcome to Law Firm Practice Management Advice. We have an interesting topic today. The topic is what photographs to use in advertisements. And this episode today is actually based on two articles on my blog, Law Firm Practice Management Advice. And the two articles are these. The first one is photos of the city where you practice. And the date of this article is May 26, 2019. And then the other article I have is Ditch the Stock Photographs on Your Webpage, and the date of that article is July 19th, 2015. So again, as a follow-up to the episode, go on over to my blog, read these two articles for more information, but let's go ahead and jump into the topic at hand. If you're running advertisements, like advertisements in print, like magazine, newspaper, these kinds of things, or you're putting up a law firm webpage, one of the most important considerations that lawyers and law firms have to take into account is what photos to use. What kind of imagery do you want in your ads, or do you want on your law firm webpage? Now, lots of lawyers and law firms will just go with the advice of the marketing company or the magazine or the newspaper, and they'll oftentimes just do something similar to what other law firms are doing. And I get this. This makes sense. Most lawyers and law firms don't have a lot of experience or background in marketing itself, and they probably don't have employees who run the marketing for the firm. So it makes sense that a lot of lawyers and law firms would want to be deferential to the marketing companies or the magazines or the newspapers, whoever is putting together these advertisements. But what I would tell the listeners is this is an important question, and lawyers and law firms ought to take a step back a little bit and think about this, and perhaps be a little less deferential if they want their webpage and the advertisements that they're running to make an impact and to actually result in people reaching out to the law firm in terms of being potential clients. All right, it could make a big difference. All right, lots of what I see on lots of lawyers and law firms' web pages are these kinds of things. One, a lot of photos of the city where the law firm's located in. So it could be photos of courthouses, it could be photos of monuments, buildings, major places in a city or location that everybody knows in that specific location, okay? So lots of photos of these kinds of things. It could even be sports venues in the city. It could be public parks. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. I see a lot of the arch on a lot of law firms' web pages. And again, it makes sense. But the problem with these kinds of photos from my vantage point is, I mean, candidly, you're not running a travel agency. To me, these photos of the city and the location make sense if you were a travel agency trying to lure people to come visit a particular city. But in all honesty, what does photos of public parks or of a city or buildings or courthouses or monuments have to do with your law firm? All right, so from my vantage point, this is a big mistake. It's very generic. It's something that lawyers and law firms ought to seek to avoid doing. But I would tell you, lots of companies, marketing entities, magazines, newspapers, they're going to gravitate and tilt toward wanting to do this. So again, every law firm can make their own decision for themselves in terms of what they want to do and what they don't want to do. But I just don't think this makes a whole lot of sense. Photos of the city or the location. It has nothing to do with the law firm. It has nothing to do with the lawyer's services, and it looks very generic, and it's just not going to stand out from the crowd. All right. Other things I see on web pages in advertisements, which is very common, which is pictures of the lawyers, pictures of a lawyer, pictures of lawyers like posing in a group photo, this kind of thing. Again, I can understand why lots of lawyers and law firms want to do it. I know a lot of the magazines, the newspapers, they're going to want a photo of the lawyers in the law firm, and they're going to request it. From my experience, some of these like magazines will send photographers out to take photos of you or your lawyers, and then they're going to want to plaster it in the advertisements. And lots of marketing companies will put a photo of lawyers on the homepage of a web page, or a particular lawyer. If there's one lawyer who is the founder, let's say, or a prominent lawyer in the firm, and they're going to want to do this. But from my vantage point, again, this is very generic, doesn't really stand out from the crowd. This is what just about everybody is doing. So photos of lawyers and law firms and advertisements and on the front of a web page, to me, very boring, right? It doesn't stand out from the crowd. Obviously, the lawyer is going to want a photo of themselves on their personal biography page on a web page, let's say. And certainly in some award magazines, a photo of the lawyer is going to make sense. Let's say it's Super Lawyers or Best Lawyers in America or something like that. It's going to make sense to put a picture of the lawyer up. But on the front page of a web page, on the front of an advertisement, I don't know. To me, it's very generic, doesn't make a ton of sense, not the kind of thing that I would recommend most lawyers and law firms do. All right. Something else that I see, which is very common, which is stock photographs. So lots of web page companies in magazines and newspapers, right? They'll pull some stock photos, and they'll want to put that stock photo on the front of the web page, something like that, or in an advertisement. Again, this can make a little bit of sense, particularly if the stock photos sort of depict the area of law in which you practice. So if it's, if you have a personal injury firm, pictures of car crashes or pictures of accidents and these kinds of things, might make some sense. If you practice family law, pictures of people that look like they're divorcing, again, might make sense. But if you're able to, I know this can be difficult, but getting some custom photos taken can be a better approach than the stock photos. From my vantage point, stock videos actually work better than stock photos. Stock videos give kind of the appearance of customization, so I think that can be a good thing. But stock photos themselves, not necessarily the best. And so, these would be things I personally wouldn't recommend doing much at all. Would be, again, the stock photos, the photos of the city or the location or the generic pose of the lawyers. I just don't know. I don't think that's the best thing in the world. So, look, again, every law firm's different. Everybody's got to think of what they're looking to do on their own accord. But to me, the kinds of photos that make sense is as many custom photos as possible. All right, so it could be a photo of the inside of your law firm. That could be a good thing. Could be a photo of a conference room. In your law firm, it could be a photo of your wait area, stuff like this. Custom photos can be very good. I mean, it depicts your law office, so it provides some context in terms of how your law firm appears, what it looks like, and that can be, a very good thing. And from my vantage point, much better than photos of the city and state and monuments and places of interest. And certainly to me, it's more interesting than just photos of lawyers posing in ways that they probably never pose. I mean, it's probably very uncommon in a law firm, except for picture day where lawyers line up for a photo. I mean, typically that's not what any law firm does. So again, not that interesting. And then again, if you can get photos that depict the area of law in which you practice, but these photos are not stock photos, right? Maybe you actually have real actors and real people posing in the photos. That can be sort of interesting. That can create a different allure. Obviously, your logo, if it's unique, obviously that's interesting. That's a good photo to have up. That's a nice thing. But stay away from these other generic things, which I just see lots and lots of lawyers and law firms do. And then, to the extent you're going to use anything stock, stock videos can be interesting. And again, if you purchase these and you buy these can create an allure of, oh wow, these are actors and this is a cool thing. But stock photos a little bit generic. But if I had to put pictures and stuff like that on a pendulum, like stock photos of people and scenes that depict the area of law you practice in, to me, probably better than lawyers just standing and posing. Or to me, the worst is really pictures of the city in which you practice in, and the monuments and maybe the sports arenas and the places that everybody knows about. From my vantage point, there's just no real value in that. It doesn't in any way give any information or visualization of the area of law in which you practice in. So from my vantage point, I would avoid that at all costs. I mean, if you're running a travel agency, those kinds of photos make sense. But if you're a law firm, generic photos of the city you're in, I don't see the value in it myself, all right? Well, I wanted to cover that today, what photographs to use in your advertisements. I think it's a interesting topic, one worthy of a lot of consideration that not nearly enough lawyers and law firms spend any time thinking about. So as a follow-up to the episode today, go on over to my blog, read the 2 articles I referenced. The first article is photos of the city where you practice, and then ditch the stock photographs on your webpage. These will be 2 interesting articles that you ought to take a look at and consider. But thanks for tuning in today. Stay tuned to our next episode of Law Firm Practice Management Advice coming up. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to the Law Firm Practice Management Advice Podcast with Kirk Stange. Kirk Stange is the president and founding partner of Stange Law Firm, a multi-state divorce and family law practice. For more insight on similar law firm management topics, visit his practice management advice blog at lawfirmpracticemanagementadvice.com.